CountryWide CONNECT, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. Your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.
Hey, someone who is very much leading and in charge is our next guest on the phone. You do not want to be on the other side of this MC, T-Radar, who joins us now. When, T-Radar, you yell out a question at a regional final. Is that right?
Do I yell them out?
No, I'm meaning when the crowd yell them out, you tell them off.
Oh, look, yes. I'm very firm with anyone yelling answers out from a crowd, with anything really, particularly FMG Young Farmer of the Year, because you can see, I mean, it's a life-changing competition, and particularly when things are close, you don't want anyone just wrecking it for somebody by being inconsiderate and yelling an answer out. And I tell you what, I feel like a school principal when I make it really clear at the start, and I do the same thing during the day with the young kids, the FMG juniors as well. They have an agri-knowledge quiz out in the field, and I make it super clear. If anyone's going to yell anything out, boom, I am ruthless, and they have to walk away while we all say shame, and then particularly at dinner, I won't let them back in again. I won't have them wreck somebody's chance to add a life-changing opportunity. So firm.
So firm.
It's terrifying. I've been there. It's really, really scary.
Well, look, it happened at a grand final. You know, somebody yelled an answer out to a question that the contestant knew the answer to, and it threw them in a particular round. And look, I think I'd probably done it 30 or 40 times by that stage. No one had ever done it, and they chose a grand final to do it. So since then, we've instigated some basically just a zero tolerance policy.
It's sort of hard not to, though, because we're all so used to watching the chase and answering the questions, right? We're kind of conditioned to it.
Look, that's probably a really good point. And people get excited. They might have had a few drinks, and it is hard. I tell people, don't even think the answer too loudly in their own heads. Just sit there and enjoy other people doing it. But look, it can be difficult, but it is something where you do want to make sure that people get the chance. I've seen this year, and many other years, someone's named the winner and they're up, and they can barely, and this is even at a regional level, they can barely make their speech because they are so overcome with the adrenaline of the day and the joy of a very hard fought success. So I don't want anyone to take that away from them.
So, T-Radar, the FMG Young Farmer of the Year for 2026 regional finals have been completed. We know who our finalists are now. How are you feeling? Because it's been a very big job.
It has. I'm feeling very despondent because it signals that we're now a quarter of the way through the year, and I'm starting to think, wait a second, where's the year gone? You know, you start off back in February, and you think, here we go, we're getting into it, and then all of a sudden, here we are, beginning of April. But look, we had some cracker regional finals this year. The weather played ball. I think on Saturday we were in Pukekohe for the northern final. The cyclone was coming through. We got a little bit of inclement drizzle and a little bit of wind, and we dodged a lot of it in where we were the other day in Te Teko, with the rain coming through the Bay of Plenty region. So I'm feeling relieved that we got through without any kind of weather disruptions.
Yeah, no one wants a grand final like Whangarei again.
Let's never. And I tell you what, especially we had a brilliant day in Hamilton. We went down to Invercargill. Practical day was in Winton. Gorgeous day down there. Having said that, I have been in Invercargill for a grand final where the weather was less than hospitable. Likewise, in Hastings.
Yes. We are nearing the 60th FMG Grand Final, T-Radar. We were together on the 50th. Does it make you feel old?
Oh, well, not until you brought it up.
She does that to me, T-Radar, all the time, okay? I think it's ageism sneaking in here.
And you sort of get to that thing where life just rolls over, and the longer you live, the shorter time is. You know, when you're a kid, a day lasts forever, and by the time you're of our advanced years, The days go very quickly. But yeah, gosh, the 50th, yeah. So what are we now? This is the 58th. So, but yeah, we're only 2 seasons away. And I was thinking about it the other day. We're probably looking at thousands of people that have competed over the years, and we've only currently got 57 champions. And this year we'll have the 58th. It's a very much a sought after title. And it'd be nice to get a lot of people back for that 60th.
Yes, exactly. Not that I ever had a go. Hey, Radar, just talk to us about the finalists, the regional finalists that have got in.
Let's look at them. Where are they? There was a lot of experience this year. Actually.
No women this year.
Yeah, no ladies.
No, there were a few entering, but I think there needs to be more encouragement of young women entering. And it was interesting, when Emma Poole, Nee Danjan picked it up a couple of years back, I thought, here we go. But actually, I did speak to some people, and they said she was so bloody good that people actually found that a little bit off-putting because how can I compete with that? But, if the competition proves year in, year out, you can be an all-rounder. We had 2 former grand finalists competing against each other in Northern. Kieran McCann, he took out both of the intellectual prizes, the exam and the quiz. Incredibly smart guy. Let down a little bit by those practical skills. We had a former grand finalist who was better at some of the practical and did enough to take it out there the other day. So yeah, it's not all that practical stuff. And I think that's not just a sort of a gender bias and saying, you've got to have that strength and that practical skills. I mean, there's a lot of people in farming these days who don't dig a post hole, don't put a fence up, don't cut some timber up. So you want to make sure that you have a competition that does represent all of that. But likewise, I mean, that is a part of day-to-day life as well. You want to see if people have those practical skills.
Radar, as Andy said, he hadn't competed and hasn't been in Young Farmers, and it's evident in the photo he showed me of his repair to a fence post the other day.
Was it a shocker?
Andy, please can you just send that through?
Yeah.
But
Cody's got it. Cody can play it, actually.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
Yeah. Can you find it,
yeah,
Cody?
he's got his thumbs up. But while he does that, Radar, can you run us through your thoughts on the regional finalists?
Yes, I can. So we've got a couple of people that have been there before. David Reesby as a former grand finalist, as is, I'm just trying to think of who won on Saturday.
Tom Slee, I think. Tom Slee?
Yeah, Tom. I'm trying to think. It's very hard to go back and see. Tom Slee certainly competed before.
Yes.
He
hasn't been
also
a finalist. He's competed, but Richard Slee, his dad, was a grand finalist years ago.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you meet a number of kids. In fact, I met some kids who got through, I think, in the FMG juniors, whose dad had been, I think, had taken out the title a while back. So you got young Jack Taggart from down in Hines. He's done pretty well in the regionals before. Tom Slee, Otago Southland Nightcaps Young Farmer. You got Bryce Wynn from Tasman. David Reesby, as I say, former grand finalist. East Coast, you got Ed Laver from Puketoi. Cam Clayton took out the Bay of Plenty one, and I did have up who took out the one at the Northern region. Do you have that in front of you? I did have it written down, but I can't find it.
Yes, I do actually. I've got the one. I've got the graphic I stole from the country yesterday. Actually,
yeah. It was Justin Rygrock. Yeah, Justin Rygrock. Again, former grand finalist. Hey, look, we've had a spread of points. Some of these people have got through by just a couple of points. Some of them have got through by 15 or 20. But it all depends upon the day. Can they bring the right mindset to the game? I watched this a couple of times, particularly if anyone's seen the regional competition, that first head-to-head, we're often there. It's a pretty simple task. Take some timber and you might build a planter box, you might build a litter box, you might build something. And boy, have I watched people get in their own way for that, and they haven't completed. They've tried to make something really complicated. Generally, got 20 to 25 minutes. All you need to do is complete the task. You can't be, and I say to them, you can't be marked on something you haven't finished or you haven't started. So just on those days, any one of these young guys can take this out if they're in the right frame of mind.
Andy made a good point to Justin when we spoke to him this week. It takes a team, and a lot of them have a huge support crew. What have you seen really works in the support around the grand finalists?
Look, there's a lot of stuff that happens between a regional final and a grand final that nobody ever sees. And I'm not only talking about the kind of the work that they have to do. I mean, they've got to put together a business plan. They know that they're going to be tested on health and safety and all of that. So I guess having a team around them that can run through a lot of questions, that can provide them with the experience to do a lot of tasks that may or may not come up outside of their normal day-to-day life, that can provide, I suppose, the support there in terms of running them through some HR stuff, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, you know, they are standing out there in those fields by themselves. They're sitting up there at those tables by themselves, and you can really see the people that have done that planning behind them. You know, there are people that have competed before, you know, and they've got test sets of hundreds, thousands of questions occasionally, every so often, that they can run through, little flashcards and things like that. But, you know, it's all well and good to know the stuff, and then you get up there in the bright lights and you got 4 seconds to answer a question about some kind of weird bloody animal disease, and I can see it, and you see it particularly with the kids. You know they know the answer, and it's right there, and they can't get it out.
Dorado, how much prep do you do for an event? You know, I mean, you've been doing it for, as Sarah said, for 10 years now, but what about, you know, on a yearly basis?
Well, I generally turn up. Look, I will go through the questions.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. Hey, look, they're pretty similar. And events are events, really. I'm not a subject matter expert as such, but I've got now enough experience to run through the questions and look at them and think, are they good questions? I used to go with Warwick Scott. For anyone who remembers Warwick Scott from Lincoln University, old school agronomist, and he was the patron of the competition for a while. And we would go through all the questions. So that was pronunciation. He would know if a question wasn't phrased properly. So I'll have a look at that, because these things run on a lot of people coming through. There's quite a lot of churn in organisations. So, you know, you need the prep that I would do is generally around those questions. Is there a twist at the end of the question if someone buzzes in soon? I don't want to have a twist at the end that they're not going to hear, because as soon as they buzz in, I stop reading. So I make sure the questions are phrased properly. I've got enough experience with a lot of them now to read it and go, I think someone could provide a different answer. And so I'll go through that with the judges and say, maybe we should take this out, because I reckon there's 2 or 3 different answers for this question. I'll Google answers. I'll basically, the main prep I do is checking that those questions are right. And I'm not always going to get that right. And we've had questions challenged all the way up to grand final, because, you know, when you've got hundreds and hundreds of questions, sometimes one slips through.
Oh, honestly, you are a real expert at this job now. I can definitely say that from experience, T-Radar. So thank you very much for your contribution to the competition over these many years. Before we show you, so in your inbox, whilst you have a look for that, and we're going to play this video. I had this idea, and I haven't actually run this past Andy because I like sharing ideas with him live. I reckon there's a good competition here of the rural media hosts to go up against each other on their general knowledge in a buzz around. Us, Mackay, Dom.
It's a very, very poor idea, Sarah Perriam-Lampp. Thank you very much.
Because the weird thing was, Sarah, what I heard was, I think there's a really good idea for media hosts, and then weirdly the sound dropped out. So what's the idea? To
have our own buzz around to test our rural industry general knowledge.
You know, I reckon that's a cracker of an idea, because there's probably room within some of this to bring a little bit more fun and entertainment. I reckon getting some of the media hosts down and some of the other commentators, and actually running them through a round of I guess agricultural and general knowledge related to the sector, and see how well they do.
Because I can tell you what, I don't think we'd actually do as well as we think we would, because those questions are difficult.
Hey, look, and this is one of the great joys of my life. I look really smart, you know, because the answers are written in front of me. I'm not going to give too much away. I'm just reading aloud, you know. But I think something like that would be a really interesting challenge. I think it'd be an interesting challenge to throw some of the commentators and various other people into an arena with a pallet and give them 20 minutes to build a planter box and see how they get on. I reckon some of them would really struggle.
Well, here's a video, and if you're watching, you will be able to see this now of Andy's attempt at fixing a post and how he wouldn't go very well in the agri-sports. Have we got that, Cody?
What broken post?
I can't see a broken post, can you? I reckon that'll fix it. At least I can find someone with a post driver. A-width.
So basically, for those listening on podcast, it's a jimmied up, half-assed attempt at fixing a broken post with a standard and some baling twine.
I do appreciate the picture that he used two standards, as if somehow that was going to create more tensile strength in holding that post together. Hey, look, I can't complain. I did a couple of posts the other day. Well, I managed to staple my glove to the post while I was wearing it. And then I allowed the wire to unspool from a spinning jenny in a crazy and untangleable fashion. So, look, we do our best. We struggle on. We don't have the skills of these young people. But when we hit the field in Stratford and then the stage in New Plymouth, the beginning of July, we'll be seeing people who really can do this kind of thing.
That was 2 weeks ago, Te Rata, and that post is still standing. So thank you very much for your support on that. The two pigtails were designed just to give a little bit of tensile strength, actually.
Yeah.
And it was broken off at ground level. Yeah. So,
was it?
Yeah, it's ground level. It's broken off. So, it needed a bit of extra.
Well, you get a bit of breeze down there, so that'll put some wiggle on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for your time, Te Rata. I will talk to you again soon throughout the rest of the season, I'm sure. But until then, I will see you in New Plymouth on the
Brilliant. We'll see you there.
Amazing. Te Rata, MC and host of the 2026 FMG Young Farmer of the Year.
CountryWide CONNECT, connecting farmers and growers to what they need to know to grow. Your daily innovative rural show with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.